Hey, it's Sol with another video. It's just a couple of hours left until Classic WoW launches, so I wanted to give you a few basic tips and reminders that'll help you get through this early experience. This guide is based on the handful of characters that I leveled up way back in the vanilla days, so it's based off of memory. I hope that this guide helps you out, but let's get right to it. The old World of Warcraft featured a lot of quests and a lot of walking between those quests. Before you know it though, you're going to end up running out of stuff to do, or at least you're going to run out of quests, and towards the late game you might find yourself grinding mobs just outright. So my tip is that when you're going from quest hub to quest hub, look around you and see if you happen to be by yourself but there happens to be a lot of mobs around you. Just slaughter everything in sight. You'll get some decent experience and drops, and most importantly, it's uninterrupted because, no one's around you. Spacing out these moments of random slaughter will help you out towards the end. That way, you can ding to level 60 from turning in quests as opposed to pew-pewing mobs over and over again. I advise that during the earliest days of Classic WoW to not sell anything on the auction house at all. Remember, Classic just started, and the amount of gold that you have on hand is probably pretty close to what everyone else has on hand, except for the exceptional people that are very much grinding for gold. Basically, there's just not enough gold to take advantage of suckers who think they're getting a good deal. Instead, when you happen to be in the capital city, just take a peek at the auction house real quick and see if there is anything that is exceptionally cheap. You might find a really good deal from someone who's just trying to make a quick silver. As for what you should be holding on to, hold on to materials, profession-related stuff until you feel like the economy has really gained its footing, then start selling. One of Classic's strong points is its alt friendliness. Just kidding. Totally the opposite. If you're interested in raiding early on, as in doing Molten Core and Onyxia, your first class is going to be pretty important. But it's not going to be because group leaders are going to look for this perfect meta for all 40 spots on their roster. I hope this doesn't bite me in the ass later, but I'm pretty confident that after developing a strong core, most raid leaders or group leaders are going to be just looking for bodies that are played by people with good ears more than having the perfect gear and perfect build. The exception here would be if you wanted to play as a tanking role. Trying to play as, say, like a paladin, that's gonna be a really hard sell. So you want to choose a class that you're confident that you will have fun with from the 1 to 60 experience and into the raid scene. Raising an alt and gearing it up for raids is going to be pretty tough to do during this first phase of Classic. In later phases, when you can source gear from like PvP or some of the newer dungeons and smaller raids that are coming out, gearing is going to be a little bit easier, but of course you still have those 60 levels to contend with. This one's for the cloth people out there. I really can't stress enough just how valuable it is to have a crafted enchanting wand. Wands in general can auto-shoot, they don't use mana, and crafted wands from enchanting are particularly more powerful than pretty much anything that you can get in the early game. The materials to make these wands are fairly cheap, although enchanting itself can be a pretty difficult profession to develop. It's just that the wands that you can make from them absolutely can't be ignored. I'll try to whip up some stats over here. So a lesser magic wand can be equipped as early as level 5. From there you can move on to the greater magic wand at 13, the lesser mystic wand at level 36, and then the greater mystic wand having a level requirement of 30. And you'll be holding on to that last one for quite some time, unless you happen to get really lucky with a drop, or if the auction house is looking good and you can get a cheap wand elsewhere. Having a good wand like this is going to lower your downtime significantly and reduce your need to run back to town every time you can buy spell upgrades. So just put that shoot ability on your hotbar and thank me later. Odds are pretty good that throughout your leveling experience you will visit each of the capitals for your faction. Whenever you do drop by though, talk to one of those guards and have them direct you to a weapon trainer, and if you can afford it, hopefully you can afford it, buy all the weapon training that's available. Each capital has these trainers, and they will teach you different weapon types. This is because in Classic, you have to maintain your weapon proficiency according to your level. This includes melee and ranged weapons, wands as well. Keeping this up is going to be important down the road, because let's say you get a really sweet weapon from a quest or a dungeon. It's one thing to not have a really great proficiency outright, but it's another to not have the training at all. So you're like, great, I have this awesome weapon, now I gotta go all the way back to this one capital, buy the thing, and then level it up. It just takes a lot of time. I do get that some of the trainings can be pretty expensive. Off the top of my head, polearms are the real offender, but it's a worthwhile investment. It's going to depend on your realm, but you probably want at least one of your professions to be a gathering profession, whether it's mining, skinning, or herbalism. Arguably, I would say go for herbalism because those reagents are a lot more versatile than ore or leather. Just keep in mind that you'll be competing with others for materials, and referring to my earlier tip, be careful when you start selling stuff. You don't want to sell too early because you won't get as much gold as you would if you maybe wait. I'm definitely speaking from my personal history here, but I recall the Swamp of Sorrows to be a really good region for easily pickable herbs that have a good sale value. You're going to want to consider planning ahead if you really want to venture into leveling dungeons. It's easier than you think to suddenly realize that you out-leveled dungeon content because you happen to be whipping through a couple of zones, and you find that breaking that stride by going into a dungeon might just not be worth your time anymore. Some popular dungeons like Ragefire Chasm or Scarlet Monastery might be easier to run and they have lots of loot with better longevity. Other dungeons, though, not so much. So keep an eye on quests that you can pick up in your zone or at your capital, because a lot of times capitals will send you off to far and away regions to do dungeon content. The outdoor world in Classic is a little bit more dangerous than it is in today's WoW. Every class does not have the same kind of toolkit or self-sustainability that we enjoy today. This is obviously going back to the very beginning of Warcraft, so you don't even have all your abilities yet. Going to a flight point is going to involve more than just a flight master's whistle, and Hearthstones have a much longer cooldown than they have today. So before you go out on a big questing binge, go around whatever questing hub that you happen to be by and resupply. Make sure you have a few stacks of food or water, make first aid bandages ahead of time, and make sure that your gear is repaired. Do this especially if you're going into a dungeon. You don't want to be the healer that got caught not having water, and everyone's going to be waiting on you. If you're not going to be rolling with old friends, or your WoW guild today isn't going to go all in with Classic, well, you gotta start somewhere socially. Or at least I suggest starting somewhere socially, so consider joining a guild. Most of the guilds in Classic WoW are going to start out as social guilds, but those serve as a very good jumping off point. On top of that, there are realm communities outside of WoW that can be a good resource. Discord is a chat platform that old services like Ventrilo and TeamSpeak wish that they were. Over at this website here that I have on the side, classicdiscord.com, you can find a list of Discord servers that you can join for free, and these are associated with at least some of the more populated Classic realms. This right here is just one resource though, and I suggest you poke around the internets to find the server that most people use. One last thing, I've been spouting this quote for a while. Play your way. How you want to, where you want to, whoever you want to do it with. Now hold on to that quote, because I'm also going to contradict myself a little bit by encouraging you to challenge yourself. World of Warcraft Classic is full of rough edges that help define its charm. I'm talking about minor inconveniences like finding quest objectives, finding quests themselves, or finding out what the heck spell cast is that person or that mob doing on you. Especially if you've never played vanilla WoW, give that raw experience a whirl. Turn at least some of those add-ons off. I know that every answer is just like a wowhead search away, but maybe give yourself a few moments to let yourself try to discover things or figure stuff out or ask a passing stranger. So that's going to be it for me, and I know that this guide was super basic. There are a ton of exhaustive resources out there, and all of them are just a Google search away. I hope that this helps out the kind of person that doesn't want to feel too overwhelmed with everything that's WoW Classic, but doesn't want to get handhold through everything either. Classic WoW is an experience to rediscover, and just enjoy yourself, alright? I hope you have a good time, and don't forget to subscribe for more of this and all things Warcraft. See you later. Until then, stay safe, stay happy, and stay breezy.